All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back here to another episode of the Easy Money Sports Podcast. Of course, me myself, as always, Sanders here. Got my guy Dupree here with me.
What's going on, man? How we doing? How you doing?
Man, bro, I'm good, bro. You know, just going through another week. We, moving along through April already. We coming up already close to the halfway point. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this is just, I don't know, bro. It's crazy how just time just be going, bro. Just be moving.
Yeah.
Um, in the pretty much in the spring session now of everything in the world of sports, man. You know, we done wrapped up college basketball. The playoffs and the NBA is getting ready to
Mm-hmm.
get started here. Uh, of course, MLB is in the swing of things, man. We about 2 weeks away now from the NFL draft, so uh, a lot to look into for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna go ahead and get right into it, man. Because it's been a few days and kind of let everything simmer and marinate here. But uh, a crazy but kind of expected Final Four weekend that went over this past
Mm-hmm.
weekend, both in the men's and women's. Who we both thought would make it to the championship game made it, and who we thought would win it ended up winning it. So,
I don't know when the last time that happened, man. When we went undefeated,
right.
dog.
One for the good guys, man. I feel
That's
like we
it.
ain't did that in a minute.
It's been a while
I
since we
don't
went
know when the
undefeated,
last time
man.
we
Yeah.
had it.
And
I
when we
was
picked
like,
the same teams, and like that, yeah. And normally that's a spell for disaster.
something like this, like somebody gonna mess it up. We be like, dang, somebody
Yeah.
gonna mess it up. But we made it through this past weekend, so
Yeah,
we
man. We
good.
did.
We good. But man, I mean, shout out to first and foremost. I want to go with man the over on the women's side, man. South
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, Lady Gamecocks, man, finishing the season undefeated.
Yeah.
First undefeated season since those Breonna Stewart UConn led teams, man. We hadn't seen an undefeated season in a while. Teams have came close. UConn has came close a couple of times, and they've lost in the Final Four. South Carolina has came close a couple of times, losing in the Final
Mm-hmm.
Four. Uh, but man, finally, an undefeated season
Mm-hmm.
this year for the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks, which was supposed to have been a rebuild year. Losing the complete starting five from last
Man.
year, a whole new starting five, only 2-3 seniors on the roster in general.
Something like
So
that.
this is talking about
Yeah.
a whole bunch of freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and of course, when the season started, or even going into after last year's tournament, everybody kind of thought about looking at who could be right up there in the top far as championship contenders. Everybody was saying about LSU having a chance to repeat just because of all the talent they had coming in and what they had, and
Mm-hmm.
Iowa with Caitlin Clark, and who else? UConn, just because of them getting Paige Buckers back and everything like that, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody was really saying much about South Carolina, and they just kind of, I don't know how they did it, but they just kind of flew under their radar as
Yeah.
time was going along, and you looked up and it was like, okay, 12-0, 16-0, 18-0, and if you look at their schedule, right, it wasn't like, I mean, there's a couple of games where like they play, Mississippi Valley State or Jackson State or
Yeah.
something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
Presbyterian, but literally, like, they're playing teams. Most of the teams that they play out of conference were tournament teams with Notre
Mm-hmm.
Dame, Maryland, UConn,
Mm-hmm.
just to name a few, right? South Carolina, North Carolina, um, teams that they played in the regular season, and some of them they ended up playing again in the NCAA tournament. So it wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
they were playing, I don't want to say nobodies, but it wasn't like they
Yeah.
weren't playing nobodies, but they were playing teams that are really, really good teams who
Mm-hmm.
made the tournament as well, made deep runs into the tournament, and everything. And it just seemed like, they had some close calls on a few games, but other than that, it was just, pretty dominant, bro. And I think this is just probably one of the crazier, what I don't want to say crazy, maybe one of the more underrated, undefeated teams that I've ever, seen happen, bro. Usually once somebody hits about, 15, 16 and 0 halfway through the season, they start to gain that steam, and you would think like people would kind of talk about them, but even
Mm-hmm.
still, not much directed towards them. It was kind of more so, what would LSU do? What would
Mm-hmm.
Iowa do? What would UConn do?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you would hear Notre Dame every once in a while, Stanford every once in a while, but it was just kind of like, why is nobody saying anything about South Carolina? And they just kept chugging along, and they got it done, man. 87-75 victory over Iowa. Um, Man, just a big game, of course, from Camila Cardoso. Uh, Man, and then you talking about just the young guns on the team, right? Tessa
Mm-hmm.
Johnson, uh, hitting timely shots. Man, Raven Johnson with the outstanding,
Yeah.
outstanding defense on Caitlin Clark. I know you look at the box score and you see that she scored 30 points, but you know, you can't just look at the box scores when it comes to some of these games, man. Yes, she scored 30 points, but she only got 7 of those against Raven Johnson. The other 23 was against everybody else. So, man, just crazy, bro. Just talk about, just the accomplishment for this team, man. The probably, I guess you can say talent wise, out of the past like 3 or 4 years for Coach Dunn Staley, maybe not the
Mm-hmm.
best talented team or the most known team, but the fact that they got it done like this with a bunch of young ladies.
Yeah. It's definitely congratulations. This might not have been. I don't know if it wasn't the. It might have been the most talented. They were the deepest though, and they were deeper than everybody in the tournament, and that's what it came down to. Their next 5 in, you almost say next 5 in were better than anybody else's next 5 in. Might have been better than some of those players. Might have been some of the players on starting five for some of these other teams, man. Like, just to be completely honest, we talking about you have a Malaysia Fawale coming off the bench doing what she does, and she's a spark plug whenever she comes in. And then Tessa Johnson picks the national championship game and have a career high in points. Don can't take her off the court because she's playing defense and scoring the basketball. Uh, it was weird, man, to think about how much they flew under the radar. It was almost Iowa's to lose. I mean, it was Iowa's. Well, it was Iowa's championship to win. The way it was because of Caitlin Clark, and kudos and shout out to Caitlin Clark, man. Like, hell of a career. Like, she regardless of not finishing with a championship, man, she goes down as one of the best, if not the best, women's college basketball player ever. Um, but it was about Iowa and Caitlin Clark. It was about Angel Reese, Flajay Johnson, LSU. It was about, you know, Notre Dame. It was about USC and Juju Watkins. And then you just talked about South Carolina as a whole. There wasn't a quote unquote star to really talk about. It was like just the team. And I think that's where they were able to fly under the radar a bit, because it wasn't like Camila Cardoso wasn't getting the publicity. She wasn't the star that some of these other players are. So it's just like, we just talking about the team. And game after game, man, they just showed they were the best team in the country and no one talked about them. It's crazy, but it probably benefited them that they're like, all right, man, we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing. We're gonna keep winning these games. And even when they got it, even as the tournament, waned, man, you talk about, certain, you heard grumblings about, well, you know, Iowa had to go through this team and that team and that team, and UConn had to go through this school and that school in the tournament. It's like South Carolina really didn't have to play anybody. You even heard some of that. It's like, hey, man, like, you saying they had to play nobody? It's like, all right, like, because they were talking about their bracket, and like their bracket wasn't as tough as some of the other teams like Iowa, like LSU, like UConn, like they just played. They were saying they played some tougher teams. Would they be, would they be up to the challenge of stiffer competition? And then you look at their schedule, like you said, it's like they played UConn, they played North Carolina, they played like they played some of the Notre Dame, like they played some of these squads you talk about and beat them. So um, to have a whole new starting five, man, especially with it is to think about the starting five that they had last year to get to that point of the Final Four last year and to lose it when they might have won it last year, man. Like I think they were a bad matchup for LSU last year, and they might have won it last year. And to lose it and then come back with a whole new starting five and to get the job done, they were just too deep for Iowa. Um, just too many bodies. I knew they were going to throw a lot of different people at Caitlin Clark. Is Camila Cardoso is a mismatch nightmare for anybody. Um, and they just come at you in waves, man. When you have the depth that they have, not I mean, you got Cardoso, but then you have Watkins, and then you have Fagan coming off the bench, and you got Kitts, and then here comes Johnson and Fawale, and this, and it's just like it's a lot, and it's a lot of people scoring and coming at you from all different angles. How do you deal with that as a team when you're looking at Iowa? They were average. I think their starting five was. I think averaging 30, almost 38 minutes a game or something. Like that's tough, man. When you playing against girls coming off the bench with fresh legs, they've been sitting down. They go and sit down for 5 minutes to come in, and they sprint. I mean, flying up and down the
Right.
court, man. That's tough. So it's a testament to Coach Staley. It's a testament to the coaches that she's built and the program that she's built at South Carolina. And people weren't talking about them this year. They're gonna be talking about him next year because Raven Johnson is back, Powell is back, Hall is back, Tessa Johnson for Wale is back. Like now, all these girls coming back. Like it might be you might have a couple plug. You got to figure out what you're gonna do with Cardoso and stuff like that. But like the majority of the team is gonna be back.
That's the
So
that's the yeah that's the scary part about that is the fact that
and they
they got
freshmen
it
like
now. Yeah, they got it now, and majority of them were freshmen, sophomore. Like I said, I think they only two seniors on the squad. Maybe I think that they
yeah,
got so that's gonna be gone.
maybe.
Cardoso obviously, and
Mm-hmm.
but like you named everybody they got coming back, and we're not talking about what could possibly happen on the portal. They could
Mm-hmm.
still grab a couple from there. They got a couple of McDonald's All Americans that they got coming in on this next incoming class. So this is, I'm just saying, this could. I don't want to predetermine anything yet because
Mm-hmm.
obviously stuff had the game still got to be played. But I don't know. This could be another, could have the makings of possibly kind of like those UConn days right there. Now we just trying to figure out, well, who gonna be playing them in the title game.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And then it's like it ain't gonna be about if they win. It's gonna be how much. Seriously, that's a scary thing about it for sure, man. Because I mean, goodness, just the fact that they got that done like that, the way that they did it too is just the
Yeah.
landscape of it is just it's gonna be crazy. And you, like you said, you got to give credit to that's really more so on the coaching staff and Coach Staley and what they've instilled in that program.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not kind of like a little a peak or like a lightning in the bottle here that they got going on. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
something that Coach Staley has been working on year by year. They wasn't always this team to where they were blowing out
Mm-hmm.
folks. They had times where they were getting beat pretty bad by some of these, the schools that we mentioned before, the Stanfords, the UConns,
Yeah.
Tennessee, and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that back in those days. So it's just, hasn't always been like this, but they've constantly been on the growth, and now they're up there as one of those teams. I mean, what was it? What's the record of the last 3 years? 109-3.
Something like that. Yeah. Something
and,
crazy
and
like
and
that,
we and
dude.
we talking about like the loss ain't coming until like deep into the season or the
Yeah,
tournament. You know, this
yeah,
it's not like they lost an early one or a conference game somewhere in early January. This is we talking about they running through until dang near March.
yeah.
You know
February,
what I'm
they lost
saying?
in
Or
February or something like
yeah,
that,
you know,
or
this
they
is
lost in the SEC tournament or something like. Yeah,
right.
it's one of them.
This is one of those where it's just they winning and they just running away with it. It's not like like I said, I don't think it's a peak. This is something that's gonna continue to be around here for sure. And
Hmm.
you know, I think that's something that a lot of people who, you know, follow the sport of basketball is something that they probably saw coming after the first national championship back 2016, 2017, right in
Hmm.
there. I think we knew then, okay, they're gonna be in play for it somewhere down the line for sure. You can't this is not just a one time thing or one off thing. And now, like I said, 2 out of the last 3 now. So
Hmm.
it's 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 getting scary for sure.
It could get very scary real quick.
It's getting scary. Like I said, I don't wanna try to preamble or predetermine anything, but I
Hmm.
mean when you look at it on paper, the fact that they they being South Carolina, you know, going through all of this and most of their ammunition that they got coming back has
Hmm.
been on, you know, made this run and gotten to this point now is just kind of gonna be like nothing may not phase them, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that. So it's gonna be interesting to see. But definitely congratulations, man,
Hmm.
to the Lady Gamecocks, man, putting up another banner. Crazy. I can't believe the media just hadn't gravitated to this and really shared like this story, man, for them to really get the attention that they deserve to really have. Like you said, much respect to Clayton Clark,
Yeah.
phenomenal player. You know, definitely in this generation, hands down, probably one of the best, if not the best, in her
Hmm.
generation here, as far as when it comes to women's college basketball. But you know, man, we talking about an undefeated season here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
We're gonna be real, man. We gonna just we're gonna be real on the show, man. It's not the storybook ending that everybody wanted.
yeah, that's
America
really what
won
it
it.
was.
America won it. Caitlin Clark to end the career and win the national title. That's what it was. Let's just be
But
brutally honest.
but also in reality, which and I know the problem with that is a lot of people um won't really understand it unless they play sports. Sometimes it's not always going to be that you might have the best player and the best player is going to win. Like probably on the floor, yes, Caitlin Clark is the best player
For sure.
on the
She was the
floor,
best player on the court.
but the best team, which it has been all year, is South Carolina. When it comes
We ain't
down to
playing
it,
tennis.
yeah, golf, you know, it's not individual. Like it
The
is
best
what it
team's gonna
is.
win, man. Now, a lot of times in basketball, the best player can help you win. It can will
Right.
you to a win. But once again, with as deep as South Carolina is, it's just one that she needed some help. And the way Raven Johnson, you mentioned it, the way Raven Johnson played defense on her, really shutting her down when she was on her, it's like it wasn't enough, man. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But big congrats to them, to South Carolina, 2 out of 3 years. And then over on the men's side, first time in nearly 20 years, we got back to back champions. The UConn Huskies, their sixth national championship. They haven't the men's side haven't lost haven't lost the national championship if they make it to the championship game. I think that's
mm,
crazy. And I mean, of course, again by double digits. They win this one 75-60. Um just what 13 straight games now they've won the tournament, 13 straight tournament games they've won. It's just been crazy, right? And they find a way to get it done. Although, albeit they had to, they had to work on for this one for sure because early, man, Zach Edey was pretty dominant. Kind
Yeah.
of like both the men's and women's game kind of almost had like the same story, right? It's kind of like, man, you got this one player that at times just seemed like they're unstoppable. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when Iowa jumped out to that 20 to like 8 lead, it was kind of like, oh,
This could get ugly quick.
maybe it's her day, and it's gonna be. And you maybe thought the same thing with Purdue for a little bit, right? Because it
Mm-hmm.
was more like, man, Edie is just he was killing them on the inside, and you
Yeah,
thought,
it was.
okay, he may go for 30, 40 himself and everything like that, but for some reason, man, Purdue guards or just the perimeter shooting just wasn't there. They
Mm-mm.
hardly took any shots. Um, why I don't know, and I think that definitely made a difference. I mean, because what Edie had 37 and 10. I mean, but they had him take 25 shots with like, I mean, literally like their guards. I mean, combined outside of Smith, they didn't hardly took any shots, and it's just I don't know if you have to give that credit to more so of UConn's defense or what, man. But how
Mm-hmm.
did you? What's your take on how the season went here for UConn, man, as they go back to back?
Dominant, dominant, man. They just that first half, you thought, okay, we in store for a good one, for a tight basketball game because, like you said, Edie was doing his thing. He was getting off. Um, Tight at half, and then you looked up, and it came out of that half, and UConn went on one of those runs, man. They went on the runs that they had made throughout the entire tournament. They came out those first 7 minutes of that second half, and it was just like, yeah, it's just too much, man. Between Newton and Klingon and Castle and Spencer flying around and making all types of plays, hitting shots, playing defense, rebounds. It was just too much, man. And like you said, the guards for Purdue, man, went cold. It went cold, man. They couldn't hit a shot. They really weren't shooting a lot of shots. Um, but UConn hunkered down on defense, and seemed like in the second half, man, they really couldn't do any wrong. They couldn't really miss, and they grew that double digit lead. And once they got that double digit lead, dude, I was like, yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And the biggest question, obviously, was can they do it? Can they go back to back? And some points throughout the season, like, you really don't know. You lose a couple games here or there. But throughout the tournament, man, it was like, that's the best team, man. Like, throughout the tournament, they solidified. There was no question who was the best team in the nation going through the tournament. Game after game, round after round. It's like, dude, I don't know if anybody's going to touch UConn. I don't know. Like, it looked like anybody's going to be able to touch them. And then we were going to see, it's like, all right, we got a matchup of two Titans, man, with Klingon and Edie, and how it's going to pan out. And like you said, Edie was getting off. He was doing almost really whatever he wanted to do. He just needed some more help, and he didn't get it from his guys. He didn't get it from his guys um, like he normally would. I mean, like Jones took 3 shots. Laurie took 5. He was 0 for 5. Kaufman, he was 2 for 4. Smith, he was 4 for 12. Like it just yeah, one other player on the entire team in double digits. Yeah,
which
one of the
was
team
which
in
was
double
kind of
digits.
right, and which was kind of weird because that was kind of the problem last season for Purdue going into the tournament, where it was okay, you'll let Edie get his, but don't let nobody else get off.
Mm-hmm.
And the guards and everybody else really couldn't shoot like that. Well, the difference this year was they actually got better,
Mm-hmm.
their percentage wise shooting the 3 ball and being able to take the shot. So it's just kind of like, okay, well, it can be a pick your poison, but then if they're lighting you up from 3, how much more of
Mm-hmm.
this do you really want them to have that to happen? But unfortunately, they just they just went cold, man. Really wasn't aggressive enough to take the shots, and I don't know, it's just because of Edie just being so dominant early in that first half. You kind of
Mm-hmm.
maybe you felt like they just had to ride that type of wave, but um, the fact that they just couldn't get anything going, and like you said, UConn just made one of those normal UConn runs when the second half started. It just seems like they just go on one of those type of runs where you just realize, like, man, we can't beat these dudes. I really don't know no other way to put it, man. Like you said, I felt like by the time we got to the Sweet 16 and how they played against San Diego State, I said I don't think nobody's gonna beat them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the first couple rounds, I kind of take it for what it's worth, because it's kind of like, where they're playing a 16 seed, and who knows who they would have saw in an 8-9 matchup. So it's just whatever. But you kind of figure by the time we get to the Sweet 16, we can see, because somebody really, give them a run or make them sweat a little bit. And when I seen how they took care of San Diego State like that, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if anybody really gonna beat them. And then, of course, they had a cold first half in that Elite Eight game against Illinois, but then, dang, they go on a 30-0 run and ended up, just pulling away there. And it was just kind of like they were winning kind of almost in all different type of fashions, even though it ends up being as a blowout. It wasn't like necessarily like, oh, were they lighting you up? It was just more so like they stopping you and you ain't stopping them. And before you know it, instead of it being tied up or it's a 4-point lead, it then ballooned to 24 in like 6 minutes. And you're just like, and you just wondering, like, how did this happen? Like,
Yeah.
it crazy. And I mean, there it is though. But they had the talks in the works of it, in the roster of it, there to be one of those teams to go back to back. I mean, there was
Mm-hmm.
other teams that we thought might have would have had a chance, but I think in the end, I agree with you, man. I don't think nobody was just how it looked in the tournament. You just kind of look and can tell it wasn't gonna be nobody and able to beat them. The only way they was gonna lose is they kind of UConn was gonna have to beat themselves. That was
Yeah.
kind of like the only way, and somebody was gonna have to play the perfect game, and that's hard to do against a team like UConn, man. That is hard to do. But congratulations to the UConn Huskies. Um,
So, so
I
man.
think I think this solidifies them for sure, at least in this era. Um, I may even say all time that you have to throw them in that conversation now when you talk about the blue bloods of college basketball. I
Bro,
think you have to throw
you
them
have
in that
to, man.
conversation.
Bro, they played in 6 national championship games on the men's side. They're 6-0. They haven't lost. Anytime they made a national championship game, dude, they haven't lost. And when I heard that stat during the game or before the game, it's like, yeah, UConn is 5-0. I'm like, oh, they're not losing this. I don't care what Zach Edey does. What? Like, bro, it's the same thing. Like, bro, they're a better team. They're 5-0. Come on, bro. It's over with. I was like, yeah, UConn winning, bro. It's a wrap. Like, what are we talking about? They're 6-0. Every time they make the championship game, man, they won. That's
And this is
tough.
a
And it's not the
this
same
isn't a
coaches either. Like, it's not like
right.
a
This is in a span of 25 years, or what, three, four different coaches who've won it. What, Calhoun on the first two, or three, right? Because he was there for Kimball's championship run,
yeah,
right?
Shabazz and
Uh,
all them. I think he was there for
yeah.
Shabazz. Yeah,
Kevin Ollie was there for
yep.
the 2014 run. Um,
That might have been Shabazz. Kevin Allen might have been Shabazz
yeah.
Napier and all. But yeah, man, they
I
six
mean,
and 0, dude. I was like, all right, man, UConn not losing this game. And like I said, once they got that double digit lead, I'm like, y'all might as well go on, send that thing to Connecticut, man. Go and send that trophy, bro. It's over with.
it's just it's insane to think about, just the fact that they being UConn can either just not get there and mess around and lose early, or when they get there, they
They
winning it,
winning it.
and that's just. I mean, talk about odds being in your favor. That's
Talking about a winning percentage. You're like, okay. Like, ooh,
that's
we gotta play UConn. Man,
I
lost. We can
don't
hand it
know.
to. Yeah, we're gonna be the team to hand it to them. Yeah, okay. Everybody before that said that too. So, oh yeah, they got it rolling up there, man. They got it rolling, men's and women's. They got it rolling.
Yeah,
They got it rolling, and they got their
yeah.
coach, Dan Hurley. They got their coach, man.
Who is there to stay for sure?
Yes.
And I mean, I can't blame him. I don't think I would want to go anywhere else at this moment. But speaking of coaches and transition and moving on, man. Obviously the big news struck last week hearing uh Coach John Calipari moving
Mm-hmm.
from Kentucky, going west from Lexington to Fayetteville, now being the head coach at the University of Arkansas, who has a decent, pretty history, a pretty decent history of college basketball themselves. Won a couple of national championships, or won a national championship before. Um, been to the tournament numerous times, been Final Fours, Elite Eights, and everything like that. Um, it's funny. I know, like the last episode or two, when we were talking about Kentucky and just trying to figure out, well, what were they going to do with Coach Cal, and people say they want them gone, but obviously, uh, they really couldn't. They being Kentucky couldn't really fire Coach
Mm-hmm.
Cal because of the way the contract was set up and his buyout and everything like that. That was just going to be a lot of money, but I guess somehow, some way, they worked something out. He's now down there in Arkansas. Um, what do you think this means for the Razorbacks now? I mean, obviously, I think with Kyle now, I think he has to. I think this is going to be a refresher for him. The fact that he gets to have a another challenge, a new
Mm-hmm.
challenge, and hopefully that he gets to adapt to this new age of college basketball, which is NIL, transfer portal. I don't, I mean, if he can still get the recruiting class to come in and everything like that, but the I think those team full of just guys who could go one and done, or a team full of freshmen in the men's side of it, I don't think that works anymore. We saw that pretty much with all the teams in the Final Four, right? A lot of those teams had guys, seniors, graduating seniors, juniors, transfers. There's a few freshmen here and there, but we're talking about like guys who've been there, had experience, has been in one or two different places already in school and everything like that. So, what do you think this would be for? What's the trajectory now for Coach Cal and Arkansas as well when it comes to this landscape of college basketball?
I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good. Obviously, Fayetteville, Arkansas is not the flashiest school, flashiest part of the country. So the NIL stuff might be a little tough, but when you have Coach John Calipari as your coach, I imagine it's gonna be pretty easy for him to get you some endorsements and for him to get you in front of the right people to be able to get you some NIL money. I don't think that's gonna be an issue at all. If he did it at in Lexington, I believe he could do it at Fayetteville, Arkansas. I think it's gonna be fine. I think there was time for a change. I know a Kentucky basketball fan personally, and I know a couple through him, but I know him personally. That's my guy. Shout out to Dallas Bruton. He's from Lexington, grew up in Lexington with high school. Like he is Kentucky Wildcat. It's weird. I get on him about it because he's a Georgia Bulldog fan, football. And I'm like, well, but you like Kentucky basketball, whatever. I don't know, but I mean, it's no wavering.
I mean, in his
He
defense,
lived he
has
lived in Georgia.
Kentucky
He
football.
lived in Georgia. He lived in Georgia for a couple years too. He lived in Georgia, lived in Gainesville. His dad coached in Gainesville, so I give him a little reprieve. But I told him like, hey, bro,
plus, come on, bro. Growing up now, Kentucky football
I
wasn't.
feel you. I feel you. But like, hey, man, I grew up a South Carolina fan, and 2010 to 15, it was rocking. Before
Yeah.
that, there wasn't a whole lot going on. So I digress. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. So he was done. He was like, Cal got to go. Like, that's it. Kyle keeps bringing up how these are his guys, and this recruiting class is this, is that, and these dudes, and you got all these dudes, these scores and everything. Obviously, Oscar Sheway, he goes down, so that's tough. But you got all these guys, and you haven't won a SEC tournament game in however long. I think it's like 2019 or something like that, whatever it is. Haven't won an SEC tournament game in a long time. And the last 3 years, you haven't won a NCAA tournament game. You lost to Oakland this past year. You lose to, what was it, St. Peter's the year before. Like, it's just like you can't win a game in the tournament. And you've had too many great players come through this program to say you've only won one national championship. And I've heard people go back and forth and be like, he won a national title. He's won a national title. He's done this. He's done that. Like, was his time at Kentucky, did he not? Did he underachieve at the University of Kentucky? And I've heard some people say, no, he hasn't. Like, yeah, man, yeah, he has. If you think about some of the teams that he's had, man, like, you should at least have two, man. Like, you got some squads. You got players that you forget about that been on that team. And so I think that he'll be able to, at Arkansas, bring in some of those players. He's going to be able to get some of those 5-star medal Americans because of who he is and what he does and how he gets players. He gets players into the league. That's undeniable. Coach Cal develops guys and gets them into the NBA. And a lot of those dudes are balling. Like, some of the best players in the league are under the Cal tree. So I just think that it was growing. There was a lot of conflict back and forth between the fans and everything. It was just like it was just time for a new voice in at University of Kentucky, and to go to Arkansas, that definitely shows you that it was time. He was ready to go. Arkansas is not a basketball school, man. They've had recent success, like you mentioned, but like Arkansas is not a basketball school. If you go all places and you go to Arkansas, he was ready to get up out of there. He was ready to get up out of there. Like, we can just,
For less money too, right? I think
like,
I don't.
you
Yeah.
equated to if you want to go college football for people to just to kind of, for it to make sense, think about Kirby Smart. If Kirby Smart was like, I'm leaving University of Georgia. I'm leaving the University of Georgia to go to Virginia. You'd be like, what? You're like, he left Georgia to go to Virginia. Some had to be wrong, man. Some had to be going like that don't add up. Something was going on internally, man. And that's what it makes me think that there was something going on for the AD to come out and say that Cal is my guy. I'm riding with Cal. He's our head basketball coach, and then to turn around, he's like, yeah, nah, I'm out of here. I'm going to Fayetteville. It's like, there was more going on. But I think it's probably the best move for both parties. I think Arkansas is definitely going to they're definitely going to succeed, and they're going to benefit from the move. Now it's just Cal's got to do it and build it, and in Kentucky, you just got to find the right guy. That's it. Got to find the right guy, man.
Which I guess that's the next thing leading into it. That with Kentucky is, what do they do? Because it seems
Yeah.
like that kind of almost this kind of almost feels like in comparison when Coach Saban comes out and retire, and it's just kind of like, okay, well, who's next? Who's on the list? Like, who would even want
Mm-hmm.
to take that job? Because all being all, yes, I guess you can say in totality, in a way, Coach Cal might have just slightly underachieved a little bit at Kentucky, but you can't deny that for sure that first part of it for him first being there, just the
Mm-hmm.
numerous conference titles, tournament appearances, deep, Elite Eight, Final Four runs, the 2015 team that was undefeated all the way until the Final Four, until they had they lost
Mm-hmm.
to Wisconsin, who, probably one of his best teams to never win it, for sure. Then of course, I think the year before that, or a couple of years before that, where they were an 8 seed and made their run all the way to the championship game, but lost to UConn, that year. So, uh, all being all, could have been more successful, yes, but in a way, I mean, if you was to put his time there in Kentucky and gave that to somebody, to a stranger, and be like, hey, if I told you this is what all you achieved in this amount of time, would you be okay with that? And I think still a lot of people would be like, yeah, I'd be okay with that. So, it's and just the history of Kentucky basketball, because this is
Mm-hmm.
just not Coach Cal. Like,
No, it's
Kentucky
not.
has won numerous,
They're,
of
they're
course,
blue
Coach
blood,
Rupp,
man.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Rupp, Coach Patino, Coach Tubby Smith. They all those guys have been successful there before, winning national
Mm-hmm.
championships before, multiple, I think, national championships at least,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, Coach Rupp and everything like that. So it's just, they have the history there. So it's just kind of like, I guess, who wants to fill those shoes? Well, Kentucky have already tried to reach out to Coach Drew down in Baylor. He said, "No, I'm staying put."
Mm-hmm.
Then the word got out saying that maybe they would try to see if they can throw a buku amount of money to Coach Hurley, and he pretty much is saying, "Ain't no way in hell I'm leaving Connecticut."
Did you hear the number?
Did I? Was there a
8.
number that they had out there?
Reportedly, what I heard today was 8 years, 100 mil that they were throwing.
Jesus,
They were trying.
woo, boy, Coach Hurley, you a strong man.
A report.
If
The,
if if
a,
that's if that's really the
I
if
heard
that
that from
really
two
was
different
the
people,
number,
but
right?
it was
If that really
eight
was the
for
number, but
100. So
God,
you're talking over
that's
12
what
million.
25. That's what, well, yeah, that's
That's over
12 a
12 million
year.
a year. That's That's over 12. That's over
Ooh,
12 a year. Yeah.
man,
Apparently, he like, which I don't blame him neither, man. I want back-to-back national titles, man.
I
I'm
feel it,
chilling.
but ooh, you tell me I get to move down south to Kentucky, I ain't gotta worry about too
He
much
from New
snow,
he's from New Jersey and
I
all
know,
that
yeah,
too.
he
So,
Jersey kid. I know
but
he won't
yeah,
worry about it.
apparently, yeah, it was. I heard it was 8 for 100.
Yeah,
That's
wow,
tough. That's a
wow.
lot of
But I
money to
mean,
turn down, boy.
he's like, pretty much, nah, I'm good. I mean, I think you heard
Hmm.
Coach Jay Wright's name for a little bit, but
Yeah,
man, my man commentating, he ain't got to work as much.
he
Probably
chilling.
making more money now. Yeah, he chilling.
He's sleeping.
But
That's what he doing.
for sure, for sure. I mean, the name that they throwing out now, what they say who they targeting is BYU's head coach. Uh, I'm trying to think his name right now, Mark Pope,
Mm,
who was the coach at BYU, which they um, went to the tournament this year and everything like that. Had a successful year in the Big
hmm
12, first year in the Big 12. So um, normally a good contending team in whatever conference they are in basketball here recently too. So not anything confirmed yet, but that's just what sources are saying that they're targeting him next. So, but if they don't end up getting the deal with Pope, I mean, who takes that job, bro? You know what I'm saying? It's that's that is one of those jobs, right? Like you
hmm
Kentucky, Alabama, the coach,
Yeah.
Lakers, Cowboys. the Yankees being a manager for the
Yankees.
Yankees. It's just
Yeah,
like those just one of those
the
where it's just kind of
yeah, yeah. The names that I've heard once again talking to my boy. Man, I've heard all those names. Scott Drew. What's my man at I just lost his name. Down in Alabama. Excuse me.
Nate Oates. Nate Oates.
Nate Oates. I was about to say Kevin Oates. Yeah, Nate Oates. Obviously Dan Hurley. Um, now he Bruce Pearl, Patino.
Oh, okay. There. I
He's
heard. I
like
heard there was.
he's
I
like
heard there was. Billy Donovan's name was kind of
Billy
in it
Donovan was a
too.
name as well.
Okay.
But just
Okay.
talking with him, he's like, man, Rick Pitino, Billy Donovan, Bruce Pearl. He's like, call up Bruce, man. Call him up. Only thing that Bruce needs a national title. He ain't gonna get it at Auburn. He can get it at UK. He can get it at UK, man. He can get it at Kentucky. He's like Rick Pitino, bring Rick back. Like bring him back. You can bring Rick back to the state of Kentucky. Obviously, he was at Louisville. And then Billy Donovan. Now the only thing with Billy Donovan is he's turned down the Kentucky job a couple times. So it's like, all right, he might just not want to come to Lexington, but might not hurt to call Bruce. Might not hurt to call Rick. And be like, hey man, come. What's up? What we thinking? And I think Kentucky wants a name. They want a name. It's a blue blood, man, and they want a name. They want a guy that you can recognize when that name is said. I said Bruce Pearl, and you had a reaction. I said Rick Pitino, and you had a reaction. No offense, I don't know who Mark Pope is, man. I don't. You know what I'm saying? So he probably is a hell of a coach. He might be the guy for the job. I think Kentucky is looking for that splash higher to keep their relevancy, to keep so recruits know who Bruce Pearl is. And if the recruits don't know, their parents know who Bruce Pearl is. Their parents know who
Right.
Rick
Right.
Pitino is. So those names, you can keep those names. You get you a name as a coach. It can help you out in all aspects, not just recruiting, but boosters, all that stuff. So, we'll see, man. Right now, it's looking like it might be Mark Pope. I mean, if so, we'll go from there. We'll go from there. I am a UK
Yeah.
fan, so I could care less, to be
Right.
honest.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah. It'll be. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens here, especially over the next, I guess, 24, 48 hours to see if the deal actually gets
mhm.
done and everything like that. So, but it was. I mean, man, another fun college basketball
Oh yeah,
season.
man.
Um, Can't wait for it to get started again. Obviously, now dealing with guys and girls who are, hitting the portal and incoming recruits coming in and,
Mhm.
graduating classes. And then before you know it, it'll be time for the season to start back up again. So, uh, can't wait to see what happens next year. Um, Man, I think on the women's side, you got to put South Carolina up there. It's probably a good chance for them to repeat. Um, And then I mean, really just depending on I guess who stays and who goes. Really for UConn, that they're definitely got to be a favorite. Um,
Mhm.
what does Houston do? Obviously, Sheed I think is a senior, so he'll be gone. Um, just I mean, so many different teams that who had that deep run. What happens with them? Purdue is going to be a player year in and year out now for sure in the Big Ten. So just interesting to see. What happens. Does North Carolina State kind of try to keep that run going? Does that impact them to where
Mhm.
they can build on that and everything like that? So, interesting to see what happens, man. So, can't wait to see what happens when the college basketball season rolls back around. Man, then you go over to the association. The regular season winding down. Teams are still fighting for positions in seedings here, both in the East and the Western Conference, for all different kind of spots. And then of course, coming up here, next? I want to say next Wednesday, next
Next Tuesday
Tuesday.
or Wednesday, I
Yeah,
think
next
Tuesday maybe.
Tuesday, Wednesday. You got the play-in tournament coming in here for both the East and the West. And when you look at the standings, obviously right now they're still trying to figure out who's going to be the 7th and the 8th seed for both conferences, but the 9th and the 10th spot is already locked in. So over in the East, that's going to be Chicago playing Atlanta, and then in the West, just crazy that we get to see this again. Golden State and the Lakers, man. Uh, when you're looking at those matchups, man, obviously with the 9-10 matchup, they are, they got to win too just
Mm-hmm.
to get in. So this is pretty much, the first elimination game for all four of these squads, man. Uh, what are you looking forward to in both of those matchups?
Obviously, you looking forward to that Steph and LeBron matchup again. Um, that should be a good one. I think that the Warriors have been trending in the right direction. Lakers have been kind of hit or miss here lately.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be. I think that's going to be a very good game. Anytime those two dudes match up, and I mean the Warriors just played the Lakers the other day and beat them pretty handily. So, not saying that's going to happen when they match up next week, but I think the Warriors are like 3-1 or something like that against the Lakers this year. It's something like that. So they've pretty much handled their business against the Lakers. So obviously, when you get into that mode and that playoff mindset, everything changes. It's a little different, but definitely looking up for that matchup, man. Hawks and Bulls. I don't know about my Hawks, man. Jalen Johnson's not going to play. Double O. Uh, Oneka and Conwu, he's not going to play either. Trey Young is just getting back. Not saying that it can't happen and that they can't win that game. I just don't know them injuries. Those are two big injuries, man. And with Trey just getting back, how does that work? How does that dynamic work? But um, hoping my boys can figure it out and then pull through and be able to make it to that next game. But that Warriors Lakers game, man. I mean, everybody's gonna be watching now. That's you don't get that matchup all the time with those circumstances and the fact that you had it back to back years. It should be a good one. It should be a good one. I'm hoping the late see them to the playoffs and see if they can make some type.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely got to be the Lakers Warriors matchup just because it could jumpstart one of those. And I get it. They're not like the teams of who we thought that they could be because of their names and who's on the squad and everything like that. But you also can look at it like, man, one of them end up getting up in there and getting that 8 seed. Granted, I still think, whoever may be that 1 seed right now, it's looking like it's Denver. If it's Denver, then of course I give that edge to the Nuggets. But if it ends up being an OKC or ends up being a Minnesota, you just never know, right? In a 7-game series, you just
Mm-hmm.
never know what could happen. Because then you're talking about either one of those teams, a team that has a lot of playoff experience on their roster going up against a team that doesn't have that much. So you
Mm-hmm.
just never know. And then it seems like the last few years when we've been seeing that type of style and that type of matchup, it seems like the team with the most experience has been coming out
Mm-hmm.
victorious in that playoff series. So it's a potential of either one of these teams who wins, and if they could win that second, if they can possibly win that second game against whoever it may be, it could be a real scary 8 seed for sure. Whether they could give that 1 seed a real run for its money, or even possibly pull off an upset, just because I mean, at any given night, any of those guys could have a vintage,
Mm-hmm.
vintage playoff game for them, right? It could be a vintage Steph game. Clay could do it. Draymond could have one of those games where he's flirting with a triple double or something like that. It's just so much at stake. And then obviously, if it's the Lakers, we know what LeBron and AD can do
Mm-hmm.
together. And then, could it be where Gabe Vincent looks like the Gabe Vincent from Miami, who they were hoping to be for, all year. You just never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's definitely the one to look into. Now, of course, like for the playoffs, still some matchups haven't been confirmed yet or finalized, but we know the one matchup that is going to be there is out in the West, and that's that 4-5 matchup between the Clippers and the Mavericks. Honestly, I don't even care probably how the rest of the seeding goes. That might be the best first round matchup in general. I mean,
It probably will be, man. That is, I've wanted to see the Clippers make a run so bad, man, since Kawhi and Paul George are teamed up because they've had good teams, man, and they not being healthy and they you know you got James Harden out there and they're playing well, but I mean the Dallas Mavericks, I mean Kyrie and Luca, they have been it's they've been different, dude. That's the best way. They just been different together. That is going to be a heavyweight fight. Like whoever makes it out of that series, they got a chance, man, to make a serious run, in my opinion. Um, I'm gonna be tuned in. That's on the West Coast. It's gonna be late here. Like some of the games gonna be 10 o'clock. Like, hey, take a nap, bruh.
I'd
Take a
say, yeah,
nap,
I'm about to stay
cause
up.
cause I gotta see this. Cause I can't miss this. This is gonna be good. Oh, it's gonna be so good, man. That's gonna be a good series. I'm hoping the Clippers. I know we're gonna make our predictions and stuff, and once we get to that point, man. But I just hope both teams go into it healthy and all the stars are there to be able to play. Because we're gonna be in for a treat, dude. We're gonna be in for a treat next week when that starts up. So that's yeah. For that to be the first one, I know both sides are probably like, all right, okay,
Yeah,
like here we go. So,
yeah, let's go.
here
I
we go.
mean,
Tyloo versus Jason Kidd. What's up? Holla
right.
at
I
your
mean,
boy.
we talking about, you know, one former finals MVP, a former MVP, and then you got a guy, we talking about a guy who is in the conversation possibly as well for in the MVP conversation this year with Luka.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, just Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden, like, can he is this the year that he finally has the squad to where they can do something? Like you said, man, the
Mm-hmm.
Clippers, year in and year out, it seems like they have kind of almost like the perfect team, man. I don't want to use the word perfect, but
Yeah.
I mean, for when you look at the roster, it's kind of like it's not too many holes that they have, not too many weaknesses that they have. It's numerous ways that they can beat you, numerous guys that can beat you. We're talking about what four four all time greats, at their position and in their era of this sport. So it's gonna be interesting to see. But then on the other side, I mean, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. It's just, I mean, then they got guys that can can catch fire at any moment. Man, Tim Hardaway Jr. can catch fire at any moment. They just got a whole bunch of guys that can keep up with them for sure. So that's gonna be a very entertaining series. I can't wait. Definitely gonna be glued into it.
Yeah.
If it's to the point where I look up and it's midnight and they still playing,
Mm-hmm.
that it is what it is. Because I
It is
feel
what
like
it is.
I don't wanna miss nothing. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's
Yeah.
gonna be so much fireworks going on with it that I don't want to miss anything for sure. So can't wait because I don't think any other matchup has been confirmed or not I want to say confirmed, has been locked in yet because I know the East is still dealing with a whole bunch of seeding
Mm-hmm.
purposes too, and um, same thing over in the West, still trying to figure out who's going to be the top seed and everything else, and then trying to figure out that 6, 7, 8, who's in the playoff and who's not, and who's going to be in the play in and everything like that. So still waiting on that. What we got I think it's the last 3 games coming
I
up
think so.
this weekend. Cause I think Saturday or Sunday is the last round or
Sunday.
not
Sunday is
rounds,
the
but
last day. Sunday is the
yeah,
last day of the regular season.
yeah. So
No.
we're nearing the end. So obviously we'll know more about it come
Mm-hmm.
towards Sunday. What matchups we have as far as in the playoffs, and then who's playing who in the play in, and we can
Mm-hmm.
go from there, man. So I can't wait. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. Um, I kind of still don't really care much about the play in like that, but it still give is entertainment value for sure of
Mm-hmm.
the theatrics and dramatics of what could possibly happen. I mean, obviously we saw Miami make their run from the play in to the finals last year, so anything can definitely happen. So can't wait for that, man. Another thing I can't wait for next Saturday is finally here. It's going down. Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. Uh, April 20th. Can't wait. Big matchup here. What is this? Is this 135 or 140?
Believe it's super lightweight, so
Super
it should be 140. Don't
140.
have a weight.
I can't remember which
No, it should
one.
be super lightweight. It's super lightweight,
So
so it should be 140.
140. The belts are on the line, correct? Right. The belts are on the line. Devin's belt is on the line. Yeah. So um interested to see. I haven't seen the full card yet, so I don't know who all is supposed to be on the full card. But obviously, you know, Haney Garcia is the main event. Um, Interested to see how this could go, man. You know both fighters kind of have like their flaws, um, that they got for sure. So interested to see what happens. But who who you think coming out on top, and what you think is gonna happen?
This is a tough one for me to call. At this point, when fights are made, I know who I want to pick, and I believe we talked about this before, man. And I told you who I was picking, and you were like, "For real?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. I just, I don't know." And I just hadn't seen a lot of pub. I haven't seen a lot of publicity. I haven't seen a lot of promo going into this fight, man. This fight is next weekend. I haven't seen a lot. Devin Haney definitely is a technician. He's a boxer. He does a good job of not taking any shots, not taking any big shots, not getting hit. Obviously, we know Ryan Garcia has his power, especially in that left hand. If he can catch you, he can rock you. He can knock, put some folks lights out. My big thing when it comes to fights like this is always, can the defender, the defensive juggernaut, when he gets hit with a shot, how does he react? When he gets caught with one of those, what happens? How does he react? Does it drop him? Does it not phase him? What happens? Um, I'm glad I don't bet on this stuff. I'm gonna pick. Golly, I'm going my gut. I've been saying I was gonna pick him the whole time. I'm gonna pick Garcia. I'm gonna pick Ryan Garcia. I think he figures out a way to uh to get him. I think he's gonna be a little more active. I think he's gonna catch him with some shots that Haney's just not gonna see. Um, some shots that's gonna hurt him, and I think he bounces back from the Tank fight. I think he bounces back from the Tank fight. I definitely think that. I mean, as he lost the fight, I think he got a little bit of extra, like bad, some bad pub and everything after that fight. He's a good boxer, man, and Tank is Tank. He's a tough dude to fight. And a lot of people don't get in the ring with him, and he's one of the dudes that's willing to get in the ring with him. When you have like a Devin Haney and those dudes are like, yeah, you've been saying his name, but you ain't came to come check this smoke out, man. You doing a lot of talking from the outside. come on in here and come figure it out. And so I think that Ryan Garcia can use that experience to help him going into this fight and find another great opponent. Um, I think he figures it out. I'm gonna go with Garcia.
Man, I'm right there with you, bro. This one was tough for me too. Um, it does worry me the fact that there hasn't been a lot of a lot of just buzz and everything like that going into this fight, which I don't know. I don't know what's the makings of that, and why it's not like that. So I don't know if that's a promotional thing, that something's going on. Like I don't know if that's. I think there's something like on a whole another level, another side that we just
Mm-hmm.
probably can't even get into or try to tap into just because we not there. But all in all, I mean, as a fan of the sport like we are, we look for just the fights like this just to see that it's happening. So I guess what I'll be looking for is kind of has Ryan Garcia, learned his lesson from the Tank fight. Um yes, the power is there, but can he make sure that he is kind of in a way himself being, kind of have that defensive strategy just to make sure that he's not getting caught, with anything. And granted, Devin doesn't have near as much as the power as Tank does. So, that's gonna be a little difference there. But um will Ryan make sure that that he learned his lesson from that fight to make sure that he doesn't get too punch happy to where he thinks okay, I landed this one shot, I can try to go land it again, but not have that guard up to make sure that I don't get hit with a shot. I think he does, but I think Devin overall is a better boxer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he'll try to make it more of a boxing match. His counter punching, the skill, the technique. Because after I finally got a chance to rewatch his fight with Loma, it was close. I don't want to say it was a robbery, but it was close. But I can see where there was certain rounds where like, okay, Devin took over, and it might not have been the loud, like thunderous shots, but he worked the body. He got, he counterpunched him. He worked the body, got whatever he could off of that, and eventually Loma kind of tired himself out. Devin still had the energy. I think it'll be similar to that
Mm-hmm.
fight. It'll be close. It'll be close. Um, I'll be shocked if it got stopped. Only way I feel like it'll get stopped if Garcia lands the big one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the end, I think the just the technician style of Devin and how he works, I think he'll find a way to work that body again with Garcia, because he saw that as well from the Tank fight, that was the punch that took him out. It was
It was a body
to
shot.
the body. It was a body shot.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he worked the body real well in that Lomachenko fight. So I'm gonna go with Devin. I think Devin gets it done. I think he'll go the distance and he'll get it by decision. I'll be shocked if he won it by knockout. I honestly
Yeah.
will be, just because he just doesn't have that same type of power as Tank does to kind of to finish off Ryan like he did. So I don't think it'll be that, but I think he'll just outbox him and not try to get into a brawl with Ryan. Because if he does, then he'll be in trouble. For sure, he'll be in trouble. And at that point, it's just gonna, which all in all in the sport, it just takes one shot anyway. But the fact that Ryan is the more powerful guy,
Mm-hmm.
the one shot will work more in his favor than it would be Devin. But I think he'll make sure that he doesn't have that happen to him. His defense will be, you know, at the best that he needs it to be. And I'm gonna take Devin, man, and hopefully that'll lead to where once in, I think, is it May or June that the Tank and Frank Martin fight. I think is it June? I believe.
I'm about to look
But
real
whenever their
quick.
fight is, hopefully when that gets done, that we can get something set up to where we can
June
see those
22nd.
guys. Okay, so June is when the Tank fight is. So hopefully, if he gets past Frank Martin, maybe we can finally get something set up here to where we see Haney and Tank, or heck, even if we can see about maybe seeing what Teo's doing, see if we can get them some. All the flair and the star power right now, in a way, is right there in this division here. So these guys gotta
It's
make the
time to
fight
pony
happen,
up,
man.
man.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I know it took a minute, but we we were all happy once we finally saw Spence and Crawford getting in the ring to make the fight happen. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can we get to that point? Forget trying to the whole politicking and working these numbers
Yeah.
and who's the A side and who's the beat. Like, we
Let's
got to
fight.
get to the point. Yeah, we got to get to the point where, like, let's fight, man. Let's get the fans what we want to see,
Mm-hmm.
um, and let's work it out, man. But I'm gonna go with Devin Haney. But I think I'm gonna go with Devin, man.
Okay. Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I
Nothing
just
wrong with
hope it's
that at
not. I
all.
just hope it's not a snooze fest, man. You know, the last pay-per-view fight I saw was a snooze fest, man. That Canelo Charlo fight was hard to watch, bro. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, Charlo's my guy too, man. That was rough.
It was hard to watch. I felt like by like round 6, I was like, damn, I'm getting sleepy. And I ain't
Yeah, it
never
was
said
just
that in a fight, bro.
that was a rough one for me too, man.
uh,
I'm a Charlo. I like the Charlo twins, man. Obviously, you been watching the podcast, man. Y'all know I'm a Spence guy too. Um, yeah, that Charlo, that was that was a tough one. That was a
yeah,
tough one.
yeah. So like, hopefully it's a good one, man. And
Hmm.
we'll see. So um, can't wait. But that'll be next Saturday, man. So interesting to see that one. But as we get ready here to wrap up another episode, man, what you got to say to the people? Anything you got?
Said continue to stay safe, stay healthy, um, stay prayed up. That's one thing. I'm stay prayed up, man. Keep um, stay prayed up. You know what I'm saying? Stay in tune. If you are religious, if you're not religious, whatever it is, if you believe in a higher being, whatever it is, man, like just stay prayed up in everything that you do. Um, and know that whatever you're going through is gonna all work out in God's timing. Um, and just stay safe. We appreciate the support with the podcast. Um, keep talking to your loved ones, stay in touch with loved ones, just normal stuff, man. Normal stuff. But stay prayed up, man. Stay prayed up. It's gonna be all good. It's gonna be all good.
Most definitely. Yeah, same for me. Just always stay safe out here. Um, continue to protect yourself out here. My fellow compadres with the allergies, man. Hey, keep taking them Zyrtex, keep taking them Claritins.
Keep taking them,
You
man.
know, it's I know the weather has been a little up and down here because we've been
Mm-hmm.
dealing with some rain and stuff like that. But as they say, April showers bring May flowers. So uh, hopefully that means that once all this rain goes away, we can kind of see the sunshine and the beauty of everything. But stay away
Mm-hmm.
from the pollen for sure. Stay away from the pollen.
That's it.
uh, Man, yeah, continue to support the podcast. We appreciate it. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow on all the social medias. We really do. We truly appreciate it for sure. Um, love black women, cherish black women, protect black women. No means no.
No means no.
You know, as the weather is getting warmer, man, y'all just gotta be careful. Make sure everybody's on the same page. And then everybody gets through everything healthy and aware of everything and what we're doing and stuff like that, man. Uh, yeah, just continue to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Keep following us on the social media, man. That's really all I got to say about that, man. NFL draft in 2 weeks. It's getting close, you know. Obviously, everybody knows who's going number one, but we're trying to figure out what's gonna happen after that.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna get wild as time goes on, man, for sure. But hey, until the next time, this has been another episode of the Easy Money Sports Podcast.
Peace.